This is Harrison Kaufman, a creative writing for entertainment student here at Full Sail University, interviewing Catherine Furrow, a local actor, writer, and producer. I believe visual art, especially in today's society, causes people to stop and think. We so rarely do this now with our busy schedules and the use of our smartphones. Think about it. We don't even have to work very hard to find a map or a direction. We just plug in and trust the machine will do the work for us. We even have devices that can spell and speak for us. But with visual art, there is no one right or wrong thought. It's subject to your own interpretation. Audiences have to breathe it in, and sometimes without breath, simply react to it. Your phone can't do that for you. I believe it is twofold. I believe that as an educational tool, having access to nearly any image around the world is incredible. When once a person had to travel thousands of miles to see a great work of art, or wait to see it in a book, now you can point and click and the image is available. It doesn't beat seeing it in person, but it does help broaden the mind for those who may not be able to travel. The second part of the fold is not as positive. Copyright infringement runs rampant in the visual arts. Where once gaining access to a copy of work was difficult, now it is copy and paste. And in most cases, the artists are not even aware of the hundreds of times their art is used. This can result in major licensing issues and the artist's loss of income. Why would people want to pay for a piece of visual art when it is already at their fingertips? Warhol is everywhere. His four-paneled Marilyn portrait has been copied and recopied. Beyoncé's Pepsi campaign has used similar images for her new tour. The Campbell's soup labels have also come back. Target has a whole line of Warhol-esque kitchen decor. It's funny to me that a chain store has them en masse, as the whole point of these images was a reflection on mass marketing and the saturation of choice. You can see my previous answer for this, but I think anything that is retro is definitely back in vogue. There seems to be a trend, as happens every decade or so, that everything our parents would have enjoyed in their 20s has come back full force. Very clever, as it speaks not only to our generation, but also to the original generation to which that art was focused and developed. It makes me wonder if we are that hungry for new ideas that we must recycle our images, or if we are that hungry for a simpler time when images meant more. I love Monet and Degas. The Impressionists fascinate me. When I was a child, I was afraid that I was the only one who saw the world in such a wonderfully distorted way. And then my parents took me to my first museum, and I literally cried. There were my thoughts on canvas. What a beautiful relief. To others, I know that style is either take it or leave it, but I'll take it, any day. When I studied acting in New York, one of our exercises was to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and study the paintings. We were to look for the story within the story and relate it to one of the monologues we were working on. It took me hours to get my head wrapped around the exercise. Then finally I turned a corner and was drawn in by a painting that had so much beauty I could not look away. A woman was sitting in a chair of a country cottage, visibly upset, with her hand on her heart, and her head leaning up against another woman who was standing and comforting her. Out of the window behind them you could see footprints and barely make out the legs of what appeared to be a man walking from the house. The period was French Revolution. Everyone in my class was talking about how her lover must have been killed in battle and she was distraught. I was the only one who noticed the legs in the background and the letter that lay open on the floor. It was in French, addressed Dear Adrian, and a few words that were visible translated, I am sorry that I can no longer. The legs were of the young man who had just broken her heart, and he couldn't even tell her to her face. He had to leave behind a note. It was that day I realized that visual art can tell a story far beyond what we may first perceive, and that as artists, if we look for the details, we can find the true meaning that speaks to us personally.